While the world of engineering aspires for new breakthroughs, modern vehicles and ships, whether on land, sea, or air, have grown to monstrous size and unbelievable features. When it comes to aircraft, however, size is not always a measure of aviation strength. A new trend though suggests that size does matter. Thanks to talented engineers who have been designing vehicles of such magnitude for decades, their ability to leave the ground was already astonishing. That is why today, we will look at the top 5 largest aircrafts, each with its own story and features. So let's get started. When it comes to supersonic bombers, the XB70 Valkyrie is one of the most well-known projects from the 1950s. The aircraft were developed by then North American Aviation, or NAA, which was created in 1928 and later merged with North American Rockwell, before being sold to Boeing and incorporated into the Boeing Integrated Defense Systems division. Despite its maximum takeoff weight of 245.84 tons, the bomber can reach its maximum speed and altitude while flying a range of 6,835 miles without refueling. It also has the capacity to break into enemy airspace from a distance of 995 to 1,180 miles and take off from conventional airfields. The XF-108 Rapier Supersonic Interceptor was planned to accompany the Valkyrie, which had a top speed of Mach 3 and a flying altitude of 70,000 feet. This interceptor's role included, among other things, defending against Soviet bombers. However, in order to save money on a variety of systems and engines on both the XB70 and XF-108 aircraft, it was built to float on its own shockwave, much like a surfer. During one stop, it absorbed the kinetic energy equivalent of 800 medium-sized cars traveling at about 100 miles per hour. The Kennedy administration decided to scrap plans to deploy the XB70, resulting in only 2 experimental prototypes being completed at the time. The program was later terminated. It was fortunate for the first aircraft, which flew 33 times before being added to the collection of the United States Air Force's National Museum at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base in Dayton, Ohio in 1969. Every supersonic bomber has a predecessor, and the Tu-160 Blackjack had a Tu-95 before it was widely known. Despite this, it is remembered as one of the heaviest supersonic military aircraft ever built, with a top speed of Mach 2. This strategic bomber has been in the air for nearly 3 decades, not to mention its military capabilities and design. It featured variable wing geometry and 4 Kuznetsov NK-32 afterburner turbofan engines, the most powerful ever mounted on a combat plane. It can store 44,000 pounds of free-fall weapons or a revolving launcher for nuclear missiles in its internal compartments. Its maximum takeoff weight is more than 275 tons. Despite its enormous size and weight, the Tu-160's visibility is unparalleled, whereas the B-1 Lancer was able to attain the smallest radar cross-section. The Tu-160 chose to ignore it. It's most likely the reason why, despite the fact that the Tu-160 was a USSR's final strategic bomber, the Russian Aerospace Forces continue to fly modified variants of it to this day. When it comes to weird aircraft, The USSR has never failed to make another experimental aircraft into a reality. It was none other than the Project 903 Lund, a ground-effect rocket ship. If you look closely, it is a huge ship or a plane. It was mainly designed to destroy enemy surface ships of up to 20,000 tons displacement, as well as air cushion boats and hydrofoils. It has an aviation radio detection and guidance system AWACS, which is mainly used to counter aviation. This ground-effect vehicle was created at the Volga experimental plant, in which out of 8 originally planned Project 903, only one was fully. Nevertheless, it has a length of 242 feet, an altitude of almost 207 feet, and a maximum takeoff weight of 380 tons. Because of its unique design, this huge craft has earned its place on the Atlantean list of aviation history. But even the Atlanteans do not live forever. This ground-effect vehicle was abandoned by Russia in 2011, leaving the vehicle destined to be scrapped. While being towed in the summer of 2020, the vehicle got stuck near to its destination, and due to the inability to dislodge, it remained on the shore, which later on attracted the media and the activists' attention. Fortunately, after 6 months of struggle, later in December 2020, they were able to pull it out of the water. The tail was about 65 to 100 feet from the sea, but even now, it is still unclear whether or not it will still simply end up at the Park Museum in Durban, Dagestan as a display. Speaking of the largest aircraft in the world, the American aerospace company Stratolaunch Systems, led by Paul Allen, has partnered with Scaled Composites to create the unique two-body aircraft, the Stratolaunch. Its main feature is not its maximum takeoff weight of 590, but rather it boasts the largest wingspan in existence, which is almost exceeding the length of an entire football field, which is 385 feet. Not to mention it exceeds the dimensions of another American record holder, the huge H-4 Hercules, which spans 320.93 feet. To make the project Stratolaunch into a reality, they needed the two decommissioned Boeing 747-400 aircraft, as well as its own engines and systems, just to reduce development cost back in 2012. Stratolaunch is capable of launching atmospheric and suborbital hypersonic vehicles into low Earth orbit. It has a dual fuselage carrier aircraft, which is the largest in history, as well as a multi-stage rocket suspended under the center of the wing between the fuselages. There's also a built-in system that allows a carrier aircraft to safely transport the rockets. Just like any other journey of some aircraft, the launch of this aircraft was overshadowed by the death of the company's founder, Paul Allen, back in 2018. The largest aircraft for today's video is AN-225 Maria. It is a strategic transport aircraft with a record-setting 640-ton takeoff weight, which is the reason why it still holds the place on the world stage. This was placed into the Guinness Book of World Records for breaking over 240 records. This was the first time in aviation history that everything happened inside the framework of a single model. It was built specifically to transport the reusable Buran spacecraft and components, which could be stored in the fuselage or on the backside. The State Aviation Service of Ukraine published a report on AN-225 resources. According to their data, its service life is approximately 20,000 hours over 45 years and 4,000 takeoff and landing operations. Thus, The aircraft can be used until 2033. According to Ukraine's president, additional $700 million should be set aside for the development of a second prototype, which is already 70% complete. What do you think? Is it possible for the second dream to come true? Which of this monstrous aircraft did you find the most impressive? Let us know in the comment below, and if you enjoyed this video and want to see more Lux Life, hit that subscribe button. Cheers!